let's get this meeting to order. Today is Monday, March 10th, 2025. We're all here in the Select Board Chamber. I'd like to welcome all of you here. And this is a hybrid, remote and in-person meeting, so welcome. Today, I would like to open this meeting, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to open the Select Board meeting for Monday, March 10th, 2025.
Thank you. Meeting is open. All righty. So this evening, I'd like to ask you all to join me with a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to remind you all that tonight our meeting is being recorded by MCM, and we will be going into executive session at 5:30 to return to public session. I'm not sure how long that will take, but please stick around, and we'll get to our business of the evening following our executive session. So, with that being said, I'd like to bring us into our executive session.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we do the motion, do you just want to let folks in the audience know that the land use policy is being postponed to the next meeting?
Absolutely. That was going to be part of my chair comments.
Oh,
but-
sorry.
Yeah, no, so I'd like to just, so if some of you are here for the purpose of that action item, 2 weeks ago, we introduced a discussion topic which spanned from last year. We had an individual that was a private entity that wanted to come and use the beach and came in front of our select board and asked us for permission to do so. And Eric, I believe, voted nay, I voted nay, Steve voted aye, and that was not allowed. And I believe it was 50 folks that they were going to bring in, and it was a corporate event. So in light of what happened last year and the season coming upon us this year, I asked our town administrator to provide just a draft, a template for this board to look at, and it was introduced at our last meeting. So when the select board has something like this that we want to talk about, obviously we can't speak to each other. This is where we speak to each other. And the public is welcome to come and listen to us speak and try to figure things out. But we don't usually ask for the public to interject into those discussions. So that was the discussion we were going to have this evening. So in light of all of what I just said, we had requested our board members to get back to our TA and explain any edits to or changes or anything of that nature to the draft that we were trying to be transparent, right, and put on our tidbits. And I looked at it and I read through the first page and had some serious concerns with it, and then continued on. So that particular subject, that action item, I'm going to ask later on in our agenda to table that. So I would believe I could do that now, so the people could see that happen. So, and we will be working on that. So that's not something that's a done deal. It's a topic of discussion. It's not about the fees. It's about us trying to establish a policy that works for the town and works for our residents. And if guests are here, they understand what's asked of them as well. So that's where the mindset came from. And I am happy the board, and I know the board will work out any differences, and we'll talk about that at a later date. So with that being said, I'd like to ask this board to table action item number 1, which is a discussion and vote to accept rules and regulations for use of town property. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to table item number 1.
Thank you, gentlemen. And with that being said, we are going to move into our executive session. So the board moves to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to discuss strategy relating to collective bargaining, specifically to discuss strategy for negotiations within Marshfield firefighters, Local 2568, and to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, to wit, town administrator, returning to public session at the conclusion of the executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to go into executive session, at the conclusion of executive session to return to public session.
All righty, thank you. Excellent. Okay, board members, I'd like to return to open session. The time is, that's not right, 6:33. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to return to public session.
Okay, thank you so much. So this evening, I started off our meeting, we did the Pledge of Allegiance, and I spoke for a little bit about the agenda this evening and how the action item number 1 has been, we're going to ask to have it tabled, and we actually tabled it prior to going into executive session. But I just want to explain again, because I already said it in the beginning, that the purpose behind that policy was based on a request by a private entity to have a event on Rexham Beach back in the spring of 2024, and that vote was a 2-to-1 vote, and the event itself was not put forward. Eric and I thought that it was, we weren't ready for it, and so we have had this, and I've had this on my notes to do, and we thought that this was a good opportunity to just introduce a policy. Here, the way this works is we're all in a room together, but this is really about the select board having a discussion. So we have a policy that we really would introduce the policy and then give a couple of weeks and let our board members dissect it and get back to our town administrator with any changes. And then we would have a discussion. That was what we were going to intend on doing tonight. But I reviewed it last week. I looked at it, and I had some serious concerns with it. And neither Steve nor Eric gave any input to our town administrator. But I think that this particular policy is something that maybe this board will have in-depth discussions about it. Maybe it will be something that we will take up, and maybe it'll be something that just is not something that we would want to put forward. But I know there were a lot of things in it that were fee-based. That's not what this was about. This was about trying to identify for a situation that may occur in the future, similar to what this woman wanted to do last year, and let the board come up with a policy and work together to try to figure out what that's going to be and what that means to the town. So that was part of my original comments, but I also have chair comments today that I just want to share as well. So as we know, this is Women's History Month 2025, and I'd like to recognize the following women's organization for Women's Month. And we have our Marshfield High School girls hockey team who has shown us what it is like to be a team, and they've been absolutely fabulous. Unfortunately, they didn't come away with the win at the very end, but coming from Marshfield High School and being on sports teams, it's about the team, and I'm sure they're kind of sad about it, but we were so proud to have them working and getting to the finals. So just wanted to mention that, and the amount of women's businesses we have in town here as well. So the chamber is constantly working on getting all those folks together and doing all sorts of events. And that's a big part of our commerce here in town. I'd like to commend anybody that's involved in small business, because it is not easy. And also, I had the opportunity last week to go to the Poppies meeting, and I sat down and had a conversation. My mom is the wife of a veteran. We lost him a long time ago, but I sat there for a little bit, and then I had to go get my grandson. But I asked them if there were any questions, and of course, they talked about a couple of things. And I said, well, I'll come back this week and bring back, make sure you put some postcards together and ask me some questions. They asked about the aggregate electric and about the situation that's going on over in North Marshfield on a development. So that has been the way my last couple of weeks have gone. I attended the Levitate preparation meeting at the EOC, and I also want to acknowledge one of the coolest things that we have in this town is a world-renowned opera singer that lived here in Marshfield on Webster Street, and many of you maybe know about this particular person and the amount of funds that we have been able to share, and this is just something that we're really proud of, and her legacy continues. So Adelaide Phillips, okay, really cool. You should look it up. And yes, exactly. Thank you for bringing that to the forefront. And this month is really, last year we invited a bunch of women to come in, and this is, maybe we'll do that, the month's not over yet, but yeah. So I just also wanted to just add in a little bit of the history of what this means. And in 1980, a consortium of women's groups and historians led by the National Women's History Project, now the National Women's History Alliance, successfully lobbied for national recognition. In February 1980, President Jimmy Carter issued the first presidential proclamation declaring the week of March 8th, 1980, as National Women's History Week. Subsequent presidents continued to proclaim a National Women's History Week in March until 1987, when Congress passed the Public Law 100-9, designating March as Women's History Month. Between 1988 and 1994, Congress passed additional resolutions requesting and authorizing the President to proclaim March of each year as Women's History Month. Since 1995, each president has issued an annual proclamation designating the month of March as Women's History Month. So National Women's History Alliance selects publishes the yearly theme, and the theme for Women's History Month 2025 is Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations. So that's it for my chair comments, and if the TA would give his report, that would be terrific.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I did my weekly call into WATD to discuss current events affecting our town and review the Select Board agenda. Hosted my weekly DPW meeting with Sean Patterson, Meg LeMay, and Sean Strobel to review DPW budget numbers, personnel issues, snow and ice budget, and other challenges regarding the FY25 budget closeout. Hosted weekly financial meeting with Sean Strobel, Meg LeMay, town accountant, to review the FY26 capital budget request to be approved so that we can get that over to Capital Budget Committee to review, take a vote, and get that ready for town meeting. We also reviewed requests from departments to use free cash for one-time expenditures. Hosted a benefits meeting with our treasurer and our town accountant and our HR director and benefits person, and Rosie, our payroll person, to review deductions on medical plans to verify the deductions are correct. We were comparing our list with Mayflower Municipal Health Group's list, make sure that all current employees and retirees are getting the benefits and plans that they're paying for. Participated in a meeting with Rep. Sweezy and our chair regarding MBTA zoning. Participated in a security meeting at the EOC for the Marshfield Education Foundation's annual St. Patrick's Day Road Race that will take place this Saturday. attended a webinar by the MMA regarding an insider's look at town meeting. Webinar focused in on modern-day challenges for town meeting, including quorums, participation, hostility, and other challenges. There was also a discussion on open versus elected town meeting. Hosted a meeting with Cindy Marcoux, our library director, Sean Strobel, Meg, and Danielle to review several financial challenges for the library, including their state grant funds, improvements in their bathrooms, personnel issues, and some additional programs. Participated in a monthly housing trust meeting to review lip monitoring letters, 1929 Main Street purchase and sale agreement, scope of work for 115 Revere Street, and the housing coordinator's report. Hosted a conference call with staff regarding the additional materials required for beach nourishment project in Green Harbor Beach, including the process that must be followed to request bids for the additional work and material. All work on the beach must be completed by March 28. Had a meeting with Chief Tavares regarding several town safety issues, policies, and procedures. Participated in a webinar on how to identify flood zones from FEMA maps for land subject to coastal storm flowage, the 10th edition of the State Building Code, and assess floodplain functions. Was hosted Rebecca Hanley, coastal geologist from the Mass Office of Coastal Zone Management, Nate Cochran, coastal geologist at Mass DEP Wetlands, and Mia McDonald, training, outreach, and circuit rider coordinator for Mass DEP. They discussed wave action, moderate wave action, minimum wave action, and how it affects the coastal zone and the FEMA flood zones relative to land subject to coastal flowage and Wetland Protection Act and the State Building Code. It was a very interesting seminar. And options to modify the project to avoid impacts. Hosted a meeting, a school budget meeting with Pat Sullivan, the superintendent, Tom Miller, assistant superintendent, and our financial team to review the FY26 school budget. We discussed a number of challenges, including transportation, sped transportation needs, collective bargaining agreements, classroom size, enrollment, technology needs, ADA improvement, and utility charges. Participated in the advisory board meeting to review the school's FY26 budget and FY26 challenges. Attended a meeting at Red Gold Farm Barn to discuss some of the financial challenges to repair the barn with Kevin Seelan, Greg Emont, and Ed Bangs. We also discussed our plan to host a fall Cranberry Festival and Farmers Market at Red Gold Barn. Kevin also discussed the importance of keeping Cranberry Farm in operation at Red Gold Farm. Hosted my weekly meeting with Chief LaSalva regarding the fire department to review their budget, capital needs, capital improvements at the HQ, Marshfield Hills Firehouse roof replacement. A new hire who was hired started the 10-week course at the Fire Academy. Hosted an ADU meeting, finalized the town meeting article language, and to address any other concerns regarding this issue with Greg Emon, our planner, Andrew Stewart, our building commissioner, Brian Murphy from the ZBA, Nancy Parecka from the ZBA, Bob Galvin, our town council, the Board of Health, and our Conservation Commission. Discussed a number of issues, including change of use under the building code, HERTZ rating requirements, special permits, site plan review by the building commissioner. Hosted a meeting with Fred Russell, the town facility director, to review a number of projects from the town, including the completion of the bathrooms and locker rooms at the firehouse, town hall doors, library bathroom and roof repairs, Marshfield Hills fire roof replacement, elevator for the South River School, school roof temporary fix at Daniel Webster School, and the complete restoration of the Daniel Webster roof, ADA improvements for all elementary school bathrooms, and repairs to the roof at the Daniel Webster estate. Meeting with Apex and EPG regarding the aquifer study, bridle path with DPW staff, Bob Galvin, Ed Pishy, town consultant, and Brian Murphy from the ZBA. Attended and participated in the advisory board meeting to review the fire and police budgets. Participated in Maya's policy committee to discuss potential pieces of legislation for the session supported by cities and towns. Hosted a meeting with the Drosopoulos team regarding the redevelopment of 239 to 287 Ocean Street, Brant Rock. That's going to be called the Village at Brant Rock. Plans are coming together for a fantastic development of business apartments and parking with an elevated boardwalk. Several of the permitting department heads participated in the discussion. Meeting with the advisory board member Paul DeChristopher regarding a facilities budget, and hosted a meeting with Danielle Kerrigan to review some ongoing personnel matters. And we hosted an employee appreciation day last Friday. And that is my report.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we are going to move into our public comment portion of tonight's meeting, and each speaker is allowed up to 2 minutes speaking, and 2 minutes will be given a warning. And the total time for this public comment portion is 15 minutes. And signing this list does not guarantee an opportunity to speak, but we'll see how that goes, and the chair will go down the list until the public comment period is over. If you're asking a question and would like a follow-up response, please leave your contact information below, and our town administrator reserves the right, or the select board reserves the right to respond in a timely manner through our town administrator. So we have, some of these folks may be on our agenda this evening, but in any event, I'm going to start. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 folks on this sign up for public comment. Yes, ma'am.
I can remove my name if it'll bring it down to 15.
And your name, please?
Madeline Daly Hauser, 5 Conference.
Okay. Thank you, Madeline.
Same with Charles Hitchcock.
Thank you, Charles. Okay, so let's start with Megan O'Shaughnessy. She's no longer here? Okay. Michelle Jarvis?
Michelle Jarvis, 24 Neptune Road. Good evening. I want to thank you for tabling the vote on the rules and regulations discussion that was proposed for this evening. I also want to clarify that this topic of discussion is not on behalf of a beach picnic that I tried to get permitted last year. It's a direct result of this board issuing one-day liquor license that was in a direct violation of the bylaws of the town. We went to town meeting last December, and we had that bylaw amendment changed unanimously at vote. The discussion of the rules and regulations of usage fall in line with that change of that bylaw. Despite having attempted communication with the board since January to have this discussion, to have it be safe and seamless, those emails have gone unresponded to. In the last meeting, this board did guarantee that they would post the proposed draft on the town website and have it open for public
10
comment
seconds.
to be sent by March 5th. That did not happen. I am just here to reiterate that these rules and regulations
Time.
cannot be drafted in a vacuum, and I hope that you bring it to public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you. And Cindy Castro?
I thought we were just signing up for the meeting.
You're signing up for the meeting. Okay, that's fine. And Connie Kennedy?
It's good making up Henry. Come on, yeah, we'll do that. Hi, I'm very grateful, Connie DePill Kennedy, 260 Pleasant Street. I'm very grateful that this has been tabled tonight. I think the little that I saw or read really needs refinement. And I just want to ask one question, or a couple questions, but what do the Farmers Market, Food Pantry, Sowing Seeds, Chamber of Commerce, North River Arts Festival and Society, Winslow House, Daniel Webster, Estate and Christmas, Community Christmas, Marshfield Fair, Veterans Park, Memorial Day Parade, Veterans Day, acknowledgements, 4th of July, Molly Fund, St. Patrick's Day Educational Fund, and more have in common. Usually they're photographed. And they're photographed often by a professional photographer who shows up for free. And oftentimes I, as a pro, and a very seasoned pro, just recognized by the state with a lifetime membership, State Association.
10 seconds.
We show up for free, and we go to events, and this needs refinement, because I have no skin in the game. I'm no longer doing beach photography, but I like to be able to show up to an event and know what's professional, what isn't, and give to the community. And I think before we penalize up-and-coming photographers, local photographers, the whole thing needs to be looked at much more carefully.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you, time's up.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Melissa Giemond? Giemond. Apologize. Welcome.
Welcome, Melissa Guimond, 44 MacArthur Lane. As a 2025 bride in the great town of Marshfield that me and my fiance Brian Driscoll have lived in our whole lives, our plan was to get married at Harbor Park, which with this bylaw, which charges $1,000, we also signed in contract with the Daniel Webster Estate. And they have stated our parking for our guests at our wedding is at the senior center, so that would be another $1,000. I just want to know, how has this come up? Where do these numbers come from? And how are we supposed to pay for them? We're residents. We pay for this in taxes. We're using land. That's public land. Why should we have to pay to have our wedding there?
Thank you. Do you have your address here so we could respond? Okay, thank you.
44 MacArthur Lane.
Yes, thank you. And we have S. Steve Licator?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, sorry, did I mess up? Okay. All right. So that ends our public portion of tonight's meeting. Okay. So we are going to go to number 3 on our action item, and then to number 8, and then to number 10. And then we will double back to 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7, okay? So we will start with number 3, which is a discussion and vote on voting hours for local election on May 3rd, 2025. Welcome.
Hi. Reese Casper, Town Clerk, 23 Saginaw Avenue.
Yes. So our binder here has just a email describing the polling hours as proposed. And it says that the town clerk is recommending the standard hours of 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add?
We already have early voting, walk-in early voting. We have early voting by mail. Generally, we don't have a very large turnout. Even last year, we had a contentious race, and literally 50% voted walk-in and by mail, and 50% voted on the day of show. It was literally exactly the same amount of people who voted on the day of show as voted in all of the previous elections. So the turnout is not going to increase by increasing the hours on the day of show. It's $700 for every hour that we stay open. I don't think increasing it in the morning or in the afternoon is really going to help. The reason that I've set the hours the way they are is if you have a child it's mostly to accommodate parents of children who are in sports. If you have a child in afternoon sports, they can come in the morning and they can vote. If they have a child in afternoons, and if they have a child in, did I do that right? If they have a child in afternoon sports, they can vote in the morning. If they have a child in morning sports, they can vote in the afternoon. And then all of the older voters usually come in the morning.
Yeah.
We hardly ever have anybody after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It just seems like a colossal waste of time and money. I just don't see a benefit to it. But not my call.
Okay.
You guys get to vote on it.
Would you like to share your thoughts on this?
No, it's like the third or fourth one I've seen from Nerese, so
So this
covered
is
it all. Yeah.
9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yes.
is what I would recommend. Eric?
Are you proposing 9 to 4, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
I am saying we're in a discussion, so that's what I am proposing.
If you are proposing 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., I'd be all for it.
Okay. So let's move forward on item number 3. And the board moves to approve the voting hours for the annual town election for May 3rd, 2025. Proposed for the polls to be open from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve polling hours for town election, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Thank you. Alrighty, and then number 8.
We're going to the warrant?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I've got a new one.
Oh, do you want to do 4? Sorry, that's my bad.
Oh, sorry, Nerese. Might as well do number 4, yep.
The warrant.
Thank you.
The warrant. We have in addition to the veterans, we had one of our veterans pass away,
Yes,
and we have somebody that will be on
Thank you,
the
Grace.
ballot.
Okay.
To replace him, and we have somebody that withdrew from the Veterans Board. We have somebody that will be replacing him, and we have 2 candidates whose terms have expired. They're going to be on the ballot. So there'll be 4 people for the Veterans, trustee of the Veterans Memorial. They do all of the Veterans Memorials that are in town. They're responsible for taking care of those. So that's the alteration on the warrant.
thank you.
I will give you pretty paper later. My printer was not working when I came upstairs. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. So this is the final.
And I will put in 4 o'clock.
All right, I will read this into the record. Warrant for election of town officers, Plymouth, to the duly sworn assistant to the town clerk in the town of Marshfield. Greetings. You are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town who are qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet at Marshfield High School Gymnasium at 167 Forest Street on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025, at 9 o'clock in the forenoon until 4 o'clock
Yes.
in the afternoon for the following purpose: to cast their votes in the local election for the candidates for the following offices: Select Board member for a term of 3 years, 1 member of the Board of Assessors for a term of 3 years, 1 member of the Board of Health for a term of 3 years, 1 member of the Board of Public Works for a term of 3 years, 1 member of the Planning Board for a term of 5 years, 2 members of the School Committee for a term of 3 years, 4 members of the Trustees of Veterans Memorials, 2 non-veteran seats for a term of 3 years, a veteran seat for a term of 1 year, and a veteran seat for a term of 2 years to fill out the remaining term of a late member. Well read. Hereof, fail not and make return of this warrant with your doings thereon at the time and place of said voting, given under our hands this 17th day of March, 2025. Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Yes. Nerese, I've been hearing from some people, there are concerns as well as I have in regards to the housing authority position. Why is that not listed?
Because there's no opening on the Housing Authority.
How's that?
We had an election last year, and there were 2 people elected into the Housing Authority.
Wasn't there a term up from when Kevin Campbell resigned and someone
Yes.
filled the position? Is that up this year?
No,
No.
no,
Why is it not?
because it wasn't up.
It's a 5-year term, right?
Yes, there was a reorganization of the board, including what's the name of the person? There was a reorganization of the board on the state level, including what is the name of the person? Including the tenant. They reorganized all of the boards on the state level, including creating a tenant position. And they're all supposed to be staggered so that they go in alternate years. So because they created a new position of a new person, I now actually have to make the people that ran last year for 5 years, I have to actually stagger them. So according to town council, I can toss a coin, or I can discuss with the two people that ran last year how they would like to stagger their terms. They can either one of them can choose one of the terms. But those positions are filled.
All right, I would
We
like,
have a full board.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
I would like to have that paperwork from the state in regards to that. Mr. Galvin can forward that to me and the rest of
That's
the other
not
board
from the
members.
state.
Who's it from? I think you
Not
just said it from the
state.
state for the
We
reorg.
had an election.
You just said the state
It's
reorged.
Mass General Law.
You just said the state
It's
reorged.
Mass General
You
Law.
just said the state reorged.
Yes, it's Mass General Law. So
Was
it's
it Mass General
not,
Law or did the state reorg?
it's Mass General Law that reorganized the state. So it's the Mass General Law. You can actually just call up the Mass General Law.
Mass General Law what?
Mass General Law reorganized the boards.
What's the number?
It's the
Chapter and the
legislature,
section of it.
yes.
Chapter and
it's the-
section?
140, is it 141? I think it's 141.
Mike,
I'll
you have,
get it.
you have
I'll get it for you.
town
What?
council send that to us, please.
Well, let's see if we can take a 5-minute recess and have this resolved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and duly seconded. Roll call
I
is in
can-
order. Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
What would you like to say?
I can run down and get it, and you guys can continue with your meeting, and I can come back. You want to do that?
That works.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. I rescind the motion to take a recess. Okay, let's move on to, let's keep that action item open, number 4, and move to number 8. Which is a discussion and vote on request for permission to accept donation of a kayak rack valued at $2,500 on behalf of Marshfield Beaches. Okay, so I'm going to give an explanation
Right.
to what this is. Welcome.
Yeah.
Just a second, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a second. No, I appreciate you being here. This is a conversation with regards to Mr. Godding, and he will be allowed to speak in a minute. But this is a follow-up on a conversation of an email with the Select Board and Maddie's Fun Day, and asked the town to accept this gift of a kayak rack at Rexham Beach valued at $2,500, and you'll see Jim Godding is here. Our board has received a photograph of what this looks like, and it is in your binder. And we appreciate this donation, and I understand there's a permit that's involved if you want to put a kayak on this rack. Is that correct, Cindy? Correct. That is correct. So there's more to it than meets the eye in this, but having the actual rack itself is very helpful to the residents. I would like to just ask you to identify yourself and appreciate the $2,500 and how you came upon the $2,500.
Jim Godding, 65 Sheridan Drive, Marshfield. My wife Maureen and I are behind Matty Kay's playground. I want to come to you for two things tonight. In the fall, we came before you with an idea for Matty Kay 1K Fun Day.
Yep.
And we were granted a permit. Unfortunately, didn't think it through. I have a lot on my plate. I didn't want to do it haphazard, so would request an indefinite suspension of that day.
Yep.
Most likely it's going to be Mother's Day next year.
Okay.
We want to do it right, so,
Well, that's not on our agenda, but
okay.
thank you for giving us.
Secondly,
Yep.
the kayak rack.
Yep.
This is the second year we donated a kayak rack last year. We try to make improvements to that area every year. We've a bike rack, we already give a kayak rack. There was a lot of conversation I had with Mike, you guys, the chief, safety, about how we were gonna do it. So we have a contract. People rent the kayak space for $100 for the season. I think it's May to October, is run through the beach. My wife and I have zero to do with it. We're just given the gift.
Yeah.
It's a way that the beach is raising some funds. We donate life jackets to make it safe if somebody forgets a life jacket. We have them in the building down there. So we're basically just asking, it was a big hit, it was full, so we decided to try to do another one this year. So we're asking you guys to accept the gift of another kayak rack for this year.
Yep. So thank you very much for this, because
Did I explain myself?
it helps, yeah, A+.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Nervous.
coming.
This
Don't
isn't
be
big.
nervous, it's just. it's
I'm a
just-
gas guy, I'm not a speaker.
Well, you know what, your wife wasn't here, but you carried on.
Thank you.
Right, did a great job. Anything you'd like to say?
Sure. Thank you to you and your wife for another generous donation, and I know that's another commitment you have to get to, so I won't hold you up.
Thank you.
So thank you. Eric, anything you'd like to say?
No, thank you for the gift. I would just ask, do we have a location already picked out for this?
That'll be close to the first one,
Yeah?
It's
just behind the gate, the blue
Yeah.
gate in the back.
on the riverside.
Okay.
Just past the parking lot. The bike rack is there, the other kayak is there, it's gonna be right there.
Oh, right along with the
Entrance
others?
to the river. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. All right. No, other than that, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you. So the board moves to approve the donation from the Gauding family of a kayak rack for Rexham Beach valued at $2,500. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly second. A roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
All right.
Unanimous vote to accept the donation from the Gauding family of the kayak rack.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
We appreciate everything you do. Yes. Well, that, next time. Next time. That wasn't on our agenda. That's why I said that, yeah. So I do not see our clerk, so we will move on. This one will take a while.
We'll do 10.
Yeah. Yes. Let's do item number 10. So discussion and vote on request for temporary extension of licensed premise for Brant Rock Ocean Cafe, Inc., DBA 291 Ocean Street on March 15th, 2025. Welcome. Have a
Thank you.
seat.
Chuck Hitchcock for 291 Ocean Street.
Yep, just a
Does
second here.
everybody have all
Yep,
of the
sir,
information?
sir, this is just a second.
My apologies.
Nope, that's fine. So we have in our packet here, a letter from Chuck Hitchcock. And this is a letter describing what this request is. It's an official extension of a use letter to the board and a proposed 5K layout and the tent contract with Peak Rentals. And we also have here in front of us the specifics regarding this location and what this means to the event that's being held this weekend. So they have respectfully submitted this written request on behalf of Brant Rock Ocean Cafe, 291 Ocean Street, for a one-day extension of use, as I just mentioned, of entertainment and of the liquor license. Is that correct? Yes. They're also in contact with the insurance provider to supply the town with the appropriate liquor liability insurance certificate, showing the town of Marshfield is additionally insured. Do we have that certificate as yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We also have in our packet a map showing the exact location within a few inches here and there, and how the proposed access and egress is intended for that day, and the parking lot itself will be closed.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the tent will be operating from around 9 a.m. on the day of the event until 7 or 8 p.m., depending on the volume.
We anticipate it to be shorter than that.
Okay. So you're also going to be requested to have tip certification, and do we have that available?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And the entertainment, as described in your letter, I don't know if it's still the same, but we have perhaps Marshfield Irish step dancers.
Yes,
We have potentially an award ceremony,
correct.
commending those that actually make it to the finish line and the speed thereof.
For the
Or those
yes.
pushing pushing a stroller or whatever's going to happen will be there. And possibly bagpipers. Is
Correct.
that still, okay, all right. So you're in contact with the police department on the details?
Yes.
And our town administrator is on
Yes,
that for us. And the handicap parking has been moved per the provided map, and we'll see that in the map that there are 3 new handicap spaces as if you're coming in dry back on the right-hand side before you make the turn to the tent. Okay,
Correct.
all right. So, okay, I said when that was going. So the question is why is this happening this year? And I think that the answers are in your letter, so I appreciate you providing those. But given the heavy foot traffic of this day, the more places they have to get entertainment and a beverage and congregate, the better. So we just want, I think, I can speak for myself anyway, I want to make sure guests are safe, our residents are safe, and everybody's aware of their surroundings, including our fire, our police, and our safety personnel. So I understand that those things are also in our packet. So the biggest feedback we've gotten is that the award ceremony from the race gets lost in the madness of the day when it is inside the building. And I think you're referring to the Venus. I think that was where it was.
I believe that it used to happen upstairs
Yeah.
in the ballroom
Yeah.
of Haddad's.
Oh, upstairs at Haddad's, that's right, I'm sorry. We feel that separating these things would make that better for the runners who would want to be part of the post-race celebration without having to endure the large crowds inside the restaurant. The people that work all day to organize and put the day together, who we have met with and are working closely with to make this day a success, have voiced that after the race, they often have a difficult time finding a place to congregate and get in with everything going on. This additional tent out front would allow us to designate a space for them. In so many words, okay. So the tent itself will have a beer trailer in it and a stage.
Correct?
And there's an access point and an egress point. You also have a bike rack barrier that's being proposed. And as I mentioned, the handicap spaces. Okay. We also have a proposal for the tent folks. No lights are needed, and it identifies all the different staging items.
Our reason for providing that contract was to simply prove and show that we're dealing with a very professional company and not, trying to handle this
Exactly.
ourselves.
Okay.
This is all going to be permitted. We met with them again today to kind of hone in on the layout, make sure that everything was going to work well, and it will all be permitted through the town. And all code will be abided by. As you can see, they have the exit signs, extinguishers, everything required in this quote.
So your company is new to this area, but not entirely new. You've been there for a while. Is this the first event of this size, or do you have examples of other events that you've done with a tent that you'd like to share with us?
I was the security manager for Avalon and then House of Blues. We did 15,000 people inside of our security envelope for the Phantom Gourmet Food Festival, numerous events that took up the entirety of Lansdowne Street. As far as handling logistics for an event this size, this is doable for the team.
That was my question. Thank you. So we have the certificate, we have all the things that you assured that we had, and we have the letter here from our town administrator. So I think that, and police have no issues. They were waiting for the final documents, and they are currently all checked off.
Which final documents are we
It doesn't
requesting?
indicate what those documents are. No issues with this, provided they submit all documents they are waiting on, and that was dated March 5th, just letting you know.
I would
So just
imagine.
follow up on that,
Will do.
okay? And no issues from fire, other than making sure the tent goes through the normal permitting process, which you've already
Correct.
identified. No issues from building, they just need a tent permit. No issues from fire, other than, and I just explained that to you. The time of the tent, 9 a.m. until 7 or 8 p.m. we discussed. These are all discussed in your letter. I think that's about it. So I think, unless you have anything you'd like to say, I'm going to let the board members
Other
ask you some
than,
questions.
you know, in general, the purpose of this tent is to help raise money for the MEF. A portion of the sales outside are going to go to the MEF. This is where we are going to do raffles and our giveaways and all of that. From our first meetings was kind of based around trying to raise money for this organization that seems to be doing good.
Yep. It's a great day. We just want it safe.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anything you'd like to add?
Sure. Marshfield is a very, very Irish community, so are you confident you'll have enough Guinness for Saturday?
I believe
And
it's
there it is.
30 kegs.
30 kegs, wow. And then, while you're here and you have an audience, are there any updates or changes you want to give for folks about your business, anything to look forward to?
We're looking forward to ramping up the hours of operation there. The deck will be open this year for the 5K. Again, we're trying to spread it out, give people ample room. In addition, we have additional porta potties, just to say, for this outdoor space coming in. And we've gone through a simple refresh with a new menu coming soon, but I urge everybody to check out the social media and look at what we've done for working there. It was all done by 3 partners themselves, so it's been a long couple of weeks, but we're ready to go. We're looking forward to
Glad
it.
to hear it. Anything you'd like to ask?
Yes, in regards to Mike Marusco's request on February 27, 2025, this says entertainment and dancing area must be designated, so is there gonna, I see an entertainment, I think on one of them stage. Are you having dance in there as well? Or allowing people to dance, or is this something that you kind of unavoidably?
It's, we're not gonna have a designated dance floor at which people could dance out there. It will be more removable picnic tables, just of the plastic, couple of them to go with the beer trailer. But for the most part, I think that the dancing that we were referencing there was really just the dancers on
On the stage?
The step dancers.
Okay. And then, tables and chairs should be designated on the map. There's 2 outlines here, but there's no designations. Are you not planning on having tables and chairs?
We were hoping to bring in a few. I don't have the technical layout. I actually don't know what there was available, but we are grabbing removable kind of picnic tables. It would only be a few of them, nothing in excess. We weren't gonna jam the place like a German beer hall, I guess. There would be one or two few, but really we are hoping that this is a congregation people can mix and talk and have discussions, really not sit down and just take up space.
If you guys are all right with that, is there any issues on your end, Mike, in regards to that?
I think they've addressed everything, they've covered everything in the letter. They did supply, in the book, you'll see they have their tip certification.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
talking about tables and chairs.
Yeah, they have an area designated, he's gonna have picnic tables in that area.
Yeah, all right. 'Cause like I said, you were looking for something mapped out on the thing, so, and then fencing, do you have anything, I don't see anything on the thing in regards to kind of fencing or barrier around where,
Bike racks, there will be a security envelope, basically, as far as being able to go for a one-day extension of use. It is required that we then wrap this area into our security envelope.
the area, you mean the area of the tent or the?
Tent, correct.
Okay.
And then thus, the front stairs, kind of that entryway. On your map, you'll see a line there running from the left side down to kind of the corner of a parking area. And from there back starts that security envelope. It is for that day and that day only, as if when you step into that area, you're stepping inside the restaurant itself, inside the licensed premise.
Okay. There's one thing I was just wondering, especially because we don't know, that day could be very nice out or very cold out. Do you plan on
Watching
having,
it constantly.
Yes.
So far, so good.
do you plan on having any type of heating inside the tent?
No, that's a whole nother story as
That's
far
right,
as
yeah.
fire and
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure of that.
correct. We will have sides. There will be
The
sides.
fold down.
of the tent,
The
but
flaps are down.
no heating.
Okay. I'm good, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay. All right, let's move this ahead and see if we can get a motion here. The board moves to approve the request from Charles Hitchcock, president of the Brant Rock Ocean Cafe, Inc., DBA 291 Ocean Street for temporary one-day extension of use of their licensed premise for their entertainment license and their liquor license for Saturday, March 15th, 2025, to include their outside parking lot as highlighted on the attached map from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m., pending sign-off from MPD, MFD, Building Department, and Board of Health, certificate of liquor liability insurance naming the town of Marshfield additionally insured, which covers the outside parking lot area. Detailed map showing all the requested requirements, record of tips, certification for all staff serving alcohol, required police details, tent permit, and handicap parking for 2 spaces. Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Chair, if I may interrupt,
Yes.
just, I would probably recommend until 7, because if you read the insurance certificate, it says 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. just so
Thank you, good catch.
Everyone's protected, yep.
So we will amend line number 5 to read 7 p.m., the first of that line, okay? 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. Okay, board members? All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve the request of extension of premise.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you for doing your work for that. Okay.
Should you need anything else, please just reach out.
Excellent.
Thank you. Okay, I see our town clerk is here. Are you in a position to move forward?
Oh, let's
Maurice?
go with it.
Okay,
Yeah, I've got nothing better to do.
okay.
All right, so.
So what are all these pieces of paper?
Laws on top. So that everybody has everything the same. Underneath the law are the results of the election, people's resignation letters, when they got appointed to the board,
Okay,
who was appointed to the board when, election results.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
So,
If anybody's missing any of those things, I probably have extras.
okay, thank you. So when you
So-
were, when you were going through this, does this support your argument that you
course
shared
it
with the
does.
board? Okay.
Lynn.
That's pretty much what I'm getting at.
So if you go to page, okay, if you actually just go to page 2, it says notwithstanding the chapter, blah, 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 blah. It says 3 members of the authority shall be appointed immediately by the Board of Selectmen to serve only until the qualification of their successors. It says not more than 5 names, just keep.
Hold on,
skip-
Nerys.
Yep. What's
Can you-
wrong, honey?
I'm trying to find where you're at here.
On page 2,
All right, I got 2, yep.
just do numbers, it's easier that way.
It's gonna say
Okay,
nothing.
3 members shall be elected by the town, provided that the members originally elected at annual town meeting, the candidate who receives the highest numbers of votes shall serve for 5 years. Candidate who receives the next highest numbers of votes shall serve for 4 years, blah. All right, so basically what it's saying is that each person serves an alternate number of years. So 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. So the thing is that, so we needed to follow that pattern. But what screwed us up is that Mrs. Bennett, you have a list, should have a notation in here. Mrs. Bennett screwed us up because Mrs. Bennett is the application for the tenant, the housing authority tenant representative, which is the reorg by the state. The state decided that one of those people who is representing the housing authority had to be somebody who actually lived in the housing, which makes a lot of sense. So they assigned somebody to that, but it screws up our order. Also included in this little pile that I gave you is a notice that you will note is Carrie Richardson's appointment by the governor to this board. You'll notice that that actually expired in 2018. The governor's council is the one that actually gives the appointments to that board. They've not appointed anyone since 2018. So every single housing authority board who has a member that's been appointed by the governor's council has allowed that member to ride, if that member has been willing to ride. And the governor's council has not appointed anyone else to any housing authority. Mr. Richardson has been willing to stay on the board all of this time. So he's continuing to serve on the board of the housing authority. So his seat is not a consecutive seat. So my job, should I choose to accept it, is to make sure that everybody is staggered. And if you look at now, yet another way that I could choose to do this is I can go by votes. And if you look at the election results that I gave you from the town election, you will note that Mr. Daley got 2,605 votes and Ms. Delgadillo got 2,601 votes. So I could actually give more years to Mr. Daley and less years to Ms. Delgadillo. But I would prefer to just have them sit down and duke it out themselves. I think arm wrestling would be good. So, in any event, I think that, I don't like making decisions like that. I don't think that I think that, they're the adults in the room and I'm me, and they should decide what's best for the housing authority and themselves.
Okay, so
And,
moving forward,
Ms. Chairman.
no, sir,
May I
no,
please speak?
no,
I'm
sir.
from the Housing
No.
Authority, and this is all wrong, completely wrong.
I talked to town council about it, I talked to the
And town
elections division
council-
about it, and the elections division agrees with town council that this is the way to move forward.
That is not true.
That is true.
I have all the documents, and you are absolutely wrong.
Okay.
This is just being made up.
Joe, you have a right to be here, but you don't have a right to disrupt a public
Well, I
meeting.
think the
So-
chairperson should recognize me because I'm an authority on this very matter.
You think you are, but you're not, Joe. And if you're gonna keep disrupting the meeting, you can leave. You don't have a right to disrupt a public meeting.
Are
You can
running
be
the
here.
meeting?
Joe, You
Are
do
you running
not,
the meeting?
Joe, I am running the meeting.
Right, and I'm asking.
So
you-
I am not giving you the recognition to speak. So
I
no
did talk to
person,
town council just
excuse me just a second, Maurice. No person shall address a meeting of a public body without permission of the chair, and all persons shall, at the request of the chair, be silent. No person shall disrupt the proceedings of a meeting of a public body. If after clear warning from the chair, a person continues to disrupt the proceedings, this is the first time I've had to read this, and I'm not doubting the person that's wanting to speak has things to say, but this is not the time to say them. A person continues, the chair may order the person to withdraw from the meeting, and I don't think this gentleman would do that, so I respect him enough to have him respect my thoughts on this. So I'm asking you, do you feel that this warrant for election is accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And you have the advice of council, town council, that this
And
warrant
his
is accurate, and the information that you have provided us is the information as you understand it. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct? Thank you. Okay. So in light of that, I would like to move,
Well, hold on.
just a
We'll vote
second,
on.
just a second. I'm just asking
Okay, yeah.
for a second, and then you can have a deliberation moment. Okay. Okay. So before I ask for a second, and then we have another deliberation, I'm going to read into the record just the documents that you have provided this board. Okay. So we have the Department of Housing and Community Development, August 23rd, 2013, certificate of appointment as you described to Kerry Richardson, and you gave the explanation on that. You also have provided a piece of paper here, John Daly, Housing Authority, sworn in, 11/7/23, replacing Kevin Cantwell. Signed off by the Assistant Clerk, dated November 7th, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You have also provided the board with the annual election results for 2024. And within this result, we have, under the Housing Authority, Board of Commission, 5 years, we have John J. Daly, and we have his votes.
Correct.
And he received, total ballots, he received 1,042
3,600? Was it?
times blank voted, yep, I'm sorry. Total ballots, 3,690.
Okay, I'm sorry. So 2,605.
That is correct.
And then on the second page,
Yes, I'm getting there. Thank
Sorry.
you. Nope, you're good. Then on the second page, as you described, we have Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, 3 years. And we have
4.
her at 2601. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And those are the two members that you have explained in the explanation. You have also provided the board with Part 1, Administration of the Government, Title 17, Public Welfare, Chapter 121B, Housing and Urban Renewal, Section 5, Housing and Redevelopment Authorities, Membership, Appointment, Election, and Term of Office. And described on page 2, paragraph 2, The candidate who received the highest number of votes shall serve for 5 years. The candidate who received the next highest number of votes shall serve for 4 years. And the candidate who received the next higher number of votes shall serve for 2 years, notwithstanding the preceding sentence upon the initial organization of the Housing Authority, if a town so votes at an annual or special town meeting called for the purpose of organizing Housing Authority. 3 members of the authority shall be appointed immediately by the Board of Selectmen to serve only until, and this doesn't apply, but I'll continue the paragraph, until the qualification of their successor provided. However, that successors shall be elected at the next annual town meeting as provided in this paragraph. Okay. So there is that. And I am going to come back to number 4 in the motion. And the board moves to approve the warrant presented by the town clerk for the election of the town officers for May 3rd, 2025, identifying given under our hands this 10th day of March, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Can I just ask, are we voting on the election of town officers?
We are voting on the election of town officers, warrant for election of town officers, given under our hands this 10th day of March.
All right, just let you know, I did want to speak on it, but since you're looking for a vote, that'll be a nay for me.
Okay. Let's move on.
Okay, so,
I mean, I can rescind and ask for a deliberation on this, but
it's up to the chair.
Actually, it's up to you.
I feel like we have all the information we need at this point.
Eric, if you have a question, you can come down and ask me anytime.
No, I wanted to ask it here, Maurice, but it's what it is. So,
Okay. I mean,
Well, all right, let's do this. I have nothing further to say other than to read what I just read into the record and support your explanation. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I mean, we have the State Elections Division giving us their expert opinion. Maurice isn't firing from the hip here. She's checking with multiple people who know what they're talking about, and our town council's been doing this for decades, so yeah, I consider the matter settled.
Thank you. Go ahead, Eric.
are we rescinding the vote?
I will rescind the vote.
If you don't mind taking a vote to rescind the vote, then I'll give an explanation afterwards, please.
I will rescind the vote of action item number 4. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to rescind the previous roll call.
Okay, so we will.
Okay, so
We
here-
will deliberate it. You know how I feel, and Steve, just go ahead.
Madam Chair, here's where I'm at. So,
Yep.
all right, so Maurice is telling us she's got it from council, but we don't have anything in writing from town council, all right? She tells us that she's got something from the state. We don't have anything in writing from the state to verify that. So I think in the best interest of all of us here in the town, we should have all that material in writing from council and the state in regards to their interpretation of this. Now, in regards to page 2, to what I'm reading here, under Public Welfare, Chapter 121B, Section 5. It appears to me that what Maurice is going off of here is when we initially, when a housing authority board is initially put together. So if you read, notwithstanding Section 20 of Chapter 43B or any other general or special law to the contrary in the town, one member of a housing authority shall be a tenant member appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and 3 members shall be elected by the town. Provided, however, that the members originally elected at an annual town meeting, the candidate who received the highest number of votes shall serve for 5 years. The next candidate who received the next highest number of votes shall serve for 4 years, and the candidate who received the next highest number of votes shall serve for 2 years. Notwithstanding the preceding sentence, upon initial organization of a housing authority.
This is exactly what I've read, so
Yes.
what's your point?
And if so, votes at an annual or special town meeting called for the purpose of organizing a housing authority. So 3 members of the Housing Authority shall be
Eric, I
appointed.
just read this.
Correct.
Why are you rereading it?
Because the whole
What's
thing is
your-
that this is.
what's your-
this-
what's your
This
point?
appears to be all based on the initial organization of it in regards to establishing a housing authority, in my opinion.
So you're questioning the original organization of
Yeah, because
the
now it's an
Housing
election.
Authority?
Now they're elected, now there's an
which
election
is-
process in regards
which
to
is-
who's already turned out in regards to how many terms are how many years they're supposed to serve. So the whole thing is that there was a process, but now it's got thrown into some kind of different format that we're just hearing about, so the whole
We're
thing
not
is
just
that-
hearing, this is available for the public. This is a general law.
It's a-
So we rely on the.
Plenty of general laws out there. We don't know everything on them.
Well, if it's a general law and we have the information in front of us, then at that point, we can go forward in our decision-making processes on so many different topics. I mean, if we are questioning this particular general law as a matter of, yeah, it's just, I just am.
All right, Lynn, not
Okay.
to cut you off, but here's the thing. All right,
Yeah.
you know something? I've spoken my piece of what I
Okay.
said. So
All
I mean,
right.
if you guys want to roll with what you want, then
Okay.
that is obviously your call. So
Okay.
we can.
Well,
we
I
can
want to
move on
make
if you
sure the
want.
Housing Authority is in good hands, and I understand they have folks that are willing to serve, and they have been elected to serve. So we're going to move forward again on this warrant, So I just want to put these papers aside, so I have everything we need. And Jenny, you've received all of this information as well? Thank you. No, ma'am, you may not.
Are we getting a revote on it?
The board moves to approve the warrant presented by the town clerk for the election of the town officers for May 3rd, 2025, in the Marshfield School Gymnasium. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Nay.
Motion carries 2-1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Steve, so we are at number 5, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Actually, 2.
Yes,
Clean Water
you
Trust.
are correct.
Sorry.
Yep. So number 2 is a discussion and vote on authorization for bonds for the interim loan for the Clean Water Trust for the Plymouth Avenue Pump Station. There's a little bit of history in here as well. So this goes back to an explanation that happened April 24th of 2023. And this is part of our town meeting. And at the town meeting in Article 8, the explanation was the Plymouth Ave wastewater pump station was constructed in the late 1970s and was, at the time, because this was back in 2023, is currently handling 2/3 of the wastewater in the town's sewer area. And so this article was a request for $8,100,000, and this was to purchase of upgrading the Plymouth Avenue waste pump station. And it was put forward by the Board of Public Works. And this project was also approved to be funded through the state revolving SRF program, which will limit the interest rate to 2%. So a little bit of the history of this. Okay, and then on December 16th of 2024, at the special town meeting, we had an Article 23. And you'll recall that there was a request at this special town meeting for there to be an increase in the amount of money. So the town would vote to amend the total project, and they did pass this, to amend the total project cost to upgrade the Plymouth Ave wastewater pump station from $8.1 million as approved at town meeting, Article 8, which I just explained. And this article is for an increase to $9 million. Okay? And that there were electrical conduits involved. And the explanation of that by the Board of Public Works was Article 23. For Article 23 was the contract work to upgrade the Plymouth Avenue pump station is underway, and based on an increase in the scope of work and need to increase contingency to approximately 4%, the total project cost has increased. So that is what this is coming from, and our clerk will read it into the record. But our treasurer is not here.
He
but
is. Yep,
He is
treasurer's
here?
here, yep.
Hi. Welcome. Didn't see you over there. So you're going to market on this for the town.
We're actually not going to market.
You're not going to market? Okay.
No, because the financing, keep in mind, this $9 million project, which was approved at town meeting, $2.3 million is being funded by the county ARPA.
Yep.
Initially, we have an interim loan with the Mass Clean Water Trust, interest-free for the first 2 years of $5.8 million. The document you have, or what's presented tonight, is an increase of $900,000 to that interim loan, which is going to increase it to 6.7.
Yeah, I have 6.7 when I did the math out. So you had 2.3 on the ARPA, 6.7 on this clean water. Okay.
Correct.
Giving you 9 million, which is what was requested,
Correct.
8.1 originally, and then the additional.
Correct.
Okay.
And we're not going to market. It's going to be at a very aggressive rate of 2% financing once the project is complete.
Once the project is complete.
So the financing will not be finalized. In other words, we won't be paying any interest on the monies borrowed through the SRF until the project is complete. So
Okay.
in essence, we're able to borrow the state revolving funds money,
Yeah.
interest-free for the first 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. Which is typical in our.
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, I'd like the clerk to read this into the record, if you wouldn't mind.
I do have questions on it.
Can you read it first so the public understands it and then go back to the questions?
Yeah, I can do that, absolutely.
thanks.
Vote of the Select Board. I, the Clerk of the Select Board of the Town of Marshfield, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the Board held March 10, 2025, at which meeting all members of the Board were duly notified and at which a quorum was present, the following vote was passed, all of which appears upon the official record of the Board in my custody. Voted, number one, that the town shall issue a bond or bonds in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6.7 million pursuant to chapters 29C and 44 of the general laws, and a vote of the town passed on April 24, 2023. Article 8, as amended by a vote of the borrower passed on December 16, 2024, Article 23, which authorized a total borrowing of $6.7 million for the construction of sewers and/or other pollution control facilities identified in such vote. Number two, that in anticipation of the issuance of the bonds, the treasurer is authorized to issue an interim loan note or notes from time to time in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6.7 million. That each bond or note shall be issued as a single registered security and sold to the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust at a price determined pursuant to the financing agreement. Number four, that the treasurer is authorized to determine the date, the form, the maximum interest rate, and the principal maturities of each bond and note, and to execute a financing agreement with the trust with respect to the sale of the bonds and notes, such date, form, and maturities, and the specific interest rate or rates of the bonds and notes to be approved by a majority of the Select Board and the treasurer and evidenced by their execution of the bonds or notes. Number five, that any certificates or documents relating to each bond and note may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original, and all shall constitute one and the same document. Delivery and executed counterpart of the signature page of the document by electronic mail in a PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to the document. and electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents and all matters relating thereto having the same legal effect as original signatures. That all action taken to date by the town and its officers and agents to carry out the project and its finances, including the execution of any loan commitment or agreement by the treasurer, are hereby ratified, approved, and confirmed, and that the treasurer and other appropriate town officials are hereby authorized to take any and all actions necessary or convenient to carry out the provisions of this vote, including execution, delivery of the financing agreements, and the project regulatory agreements relating to this project. I further certify that the agenda for the meeting, a copy of which is attached here too, was posted on the bulletin boards of the town at least 24 hours before the meeting in compliance with Section 7-2 of the town charter. I further certify that the vote was adopted at a meeting open to the public, that no vote was taken by secret ballot, that notice stating the place, time, date, and agenda of the meeting, which included the adoption of the above vote, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in or the municipal building that the office of the town clerk is located, or if applicable in accordance with the alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in 940 CMR 29.032B, at least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, prior to the time of the meeting and remains so posted at the time of the meeting that no deliberations or decisions in connection with the sale of the bonds and notes were taken in executive session, and that the official record of the meeting was made available to the public promptly and remains available to the public. All in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18-25. I further say that the vote has not been amended, supplemented, or revoked and remains in effect on this date. Dated March 10th, 2025. Clerk of the Select Board.
Thank you. So, can you explain, in item number 3, that each bond or note shall be issued as a single registered security and sold to the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust? And I understand that's Chapter 29C, Mass General Law. Can you explain to us what that means?
So in essence, we are going to be selling, or we're giving our rights to sell, instead of going to the open market,
Yeah.
where it's a competitive bid process, we're actually giving them the right of first refusal to actually sell them the security or the bond for the financing of this project.
Okay.
And the reason being is because that 2% that we're going to be paying on the funds the final funds, because
Yeah.
we don't know whether a project is either going to exercise the full amount or it might actually have a surplus. The interest that we're paying on that actually goes back into the state revolving fund, which actually helps them finance other projects for communities that also have this sort of need.
Say that again. Interest goes back into the
So the
revolving fund?
Yep, so the interest that we are remitting for the borrowing of these
Yeah.
funds actually goes into the state revolving fund, and that becomes principal that they're able to also lend other communities to fund other like projects.
So the trust itself generates money from the interest for the revolving fund.
Yes.
Thank you for that explanation. Do you have any questions?
This is approved by town meeting, and, I'm glad that we as a board directed $2.3 million in ARPA funds to fund this
Yes, sir.
really important project for the
Yep.
DPW. Just the bandwidth and capacity there is really key for our town, so I'm glad this is moving forward.
Yes, thank you. Eric?
I know we discussed this before, but what was the purpose of the funding for the pump station in the first place? In regards to the work being done there?
What was the original funding?
What's the purpose of the pump station, all the money that's being spent there?
Well, the purpose is for the project that was approved. It's to replace what's 40 feet down into the ground as far as the 3 pumps that are pumping
There you go.
it's a force main. It's pumping all the wastewater collected from 47 homes. It's also relining the wet well as well as also addressing all the electrical components. If you're looking for specific project information, I would probably urge you to reach out to DPW and they can give you all the specifics.
That was the explanation that the Board of Public Works gave at that 2023 town meeting. Do you want me to read the whole thing out?
No, I think you did that, because
I
I'm
only
just
read the highlighted
reading,
because
I was
it
just
was-
reading number one, so,
Yeah.
you know, I'm looking, I know the big part of it was flood proofing.
Yeah. And then the conduit, I wrote notes in 2024 at the December meeting that there were 3 conduits in my, this is my actual notes from town meeting. I just took a copy of it, so I would have it. So, the explanation on the, I think Sean gave us was, as I read it, the contract work to upgrade it and the electrical conduits.
No, see, the only thing I was just wondering on this was that, thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was, it said construction of sewers, but there's a small section there to do a bypass
Well,
as
this-
to what they would,
So in
whatever
any,
work they were doing down there.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't too sure if this was, like, construction of sewers, and like, I think everything was just evolved around the pump house. But from what I see, they had,
there's a
for the
lot.
project, they had to do a bypass pipe of some sort, so I guess you could initially put that into it, so.
In any event, we have to find the money for it, and this is a really,
Well, I mean, I
This
think
is
we already
really
did, I think
crutch
we were
of this.
just.
Yeah, we're good, right?
Well, no, I mean, in the initial one, I think that you guys already voted to approve it, now they're looking for a little extra more to put on the top of it, the cherry on top, it seems like, so.
yeah. So are you okay?
I'm not okay with the spending, but, yeah,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Good with the rest of it.
Madam Chair, if I may, I
Yes.
might be able to draw.
Please.
So the original project that went to the 8.1 was, you were right, Mr. Kelly, about the conduit. So when they tore everything apart, the bypass was originally, that was the first part of the project where they changed the conduit in the street going into that building. And they had to do a bypass. If you remember, if you drove by, people would have seen the pipes on top of the ground going into people's houses as opposed under, so they could dig up all that and replace to the pump. Then you're right, they're waterproofing the sides, the pumps themselves, the force mains down below, I think it's like, did he say 60 feet down?
Yeah, 60.
About 60 feet down, 6 stories down. I've only seen it once, it's pretty, remarkable. But the additional cost, which caused us to come back for the second time, was all the electric was short because of the water in the high acidity ate through the pipe that the Y is in, and that's where they had the DPW, since everything was open, they had to replace all that extra electrical conduit, which elevated the price.
So they didn't, they asked this, I guess, so they didn't realize the wires were.
When the company that did the original assessment didn't notice that until they tore everything open. Sometimes
Where were the
it's
wires, where were the placement of the wires? Were they?
underground,
They were in the, what, wrapped in a conduit?
wrapped in a conduit.
All right,
yeah.
so they didn't realize it until you got it.
Yeah, because the pipes all were, even like sewer pipes, the bottoms will rust out from the high acidic.
Right, you just don't realize it until you start pulling it apart, it's
Tear it
one of those
apart,
things,
yep.
I understand.
I think I'm going to just read this just so the public understands. So this was the April 24th, 2023, and this is just what this is, because each of us have a different amount of knowledge, but this is what they presented. It doesn't mean that's, I would think that what they presented would be pretty similar to what you would find in the actual scope of work, but the pumping equipment and piping, electrical systems, controls, HVAC, and emergency generator are all in need of replacement. The concrete tank walls are deteriorating and require concrete repair and grate replacement. The building will be extended to house the generator, and the disinfection equipment will be brought inside the building. The building roof and siding will be replaced. A flood protection wall will be constructed around the building to meet long-term predicted rises in sea level. Recent installation of sewer bypass and new sewer force main will allow the station to be taken offline during the construction. The funds will be used to cover the cost of construction, engineering oversight, as well as an owner's project manager, OPM, and I'm sure we could get that and review that if you wanted to do so. But that's pretty much where this stands, and I would like to move forward and ask the board to approve this. So the board moves to approve the aforementioned statement read into the record regarding the authorization for bonds for the interim loan for the Clean Water Trust for the Plymouth Avenue Pump Station. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, let's move on to number 5, please. Number 5 is a discussion and vote on Green Harbor Lobster Pound 2025 parking permit renewal. So Michael, can you take us through this for a minute?
Sure,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Phil Potts, the owners of Green Harbor Lobster Pound. They have a pretty sizable piece of land for that area. They operate their business and restaurant takeout and seafood. On the left, they have a couple of rental units, and they have public bathrooms on the back, and they have beach parking. So they apply to the town. The town charges them $24 per space, just a one-time fee for the season, and they provide the free bathrooms with that for their patrons, and they have that additional parking for folks to park there. It's something that's been going on for,
That's what
long
I-
before the Phil Potts were there, too.
Yeah.
Previous owners.
Prior
Scotty,
to,
I
prior
think
to
it's
you
Scotty's.
probably, right? Yeah, it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments?
No, we see this every year, and for a long time, we never had any issues, so
Yeah.
good.
They do a great job.
Any questions or comments?
I do, Madam Chair. All right, you charge Mr. Phil Pott or his
40.
business, Green Harbor Lobster Pound, $24 per space at a one-time fee.
Each year, he pays that for those spaces that he uses for beach parking.
I'm just looking at, some of it's trying to be fair. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but, I mean, when people have the spaces up at, when Levitate goes on, the fairgrounds, I think, what are they paying, $1?
I think they pay $1, yeah. So.
$1, it's not per car, it's what, $1 per space, and then you
Per
can,
space. They have to do a map. The select board has to
Yeah.
approve them doing it. Their taxes and utility bills have to be current. The board approves them for a whole season. Years ago, they used to be
Yeah.
approved by event.
so I guess my question to ask on this one is, how do we come up with $24 per space from Mr. Philpott regarding, and if you look at those that are being charged $1 by a town at the fairgrounds or around the fairgrounds, I mean,
Because this is
Their
a commercial
explanation.
business, and those other entities around the fairground are residential, and people do that to
generate extra income
money
to
to
a
pay their
degree.
taxes, yep. Not that he doesn't either, I'm sure he needs.
No, I get that. He's just, I think, he's in a better position, I guess, with location, and everything else like that. I guess it just comes down to the season, if it's a good season or not, so, all right.
All right, thank you. So the notice we received, his license expired on September 15th, 2024. So this will do the same, correct, Michael?
Yes.
Thank you. The board moves to approve the license renewal for Paul J. Philpott for parking at the Green Harbor Lobster Pound located at 131 Beach Street for 46 parking spaces at $24 per parking space for a total of $1,104, contingent on taxes and fees owed to the town being paid in full or satisfactory arrangements for payment have been made with the treasurer collector. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made, duly seconded, roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve the parking for the lobster pound.
Thank you. Okay, so moving into number 6. This is in regard to a discussion and vote on debt exclusion language for South Shore Regional Vocational Technical High School. Michael, will you bring us through this, please?
Sure, actually, our treasurer collector's here, if we
Excellent.
want to call him up
Thank you.
while he's making his way up there.
Thank
I will share with the board that this is standard language used for debt exclusion for the South Shore Regional Technical.
So I'm going to,
Vocational.
I'll just read the language in. So it's something that the public has a little bit more information on. So this is, shall the town of Marshfield be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay the town of Marshfield's apportioned share of the cost for bonds. Excuse me. Thank you. You all set? Thanks.
just wanted to change the clock.
Oh, yeah, I know, I've been looking at it, thinking, how about we do it after? This is kind of important. No, I appreciate it. I just keep adding, it's like the one in my office at home, I gotta find time to fix it. So now I don't know where I was. I'm going to start again. Shall the town of Marshfield be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay the town of Marshfield's apportioned share of the costs for bonds issued by the South Shore Regional Vocational Technical School District per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C-K, in order to pay costs of designing, constructing, originally equipping, and furnishing a new district high school and related athletic facilities, including the payment of all other costs incidental and related thereto. So this is for the ballot of May 3rd, and can you explain why we've come to this and how we move forward?
Certainly. So the debt exclusion really is to address the building of the new high school, as you just referred to. The problem is, with the building of the new regional high school, we're not certain as to what the dollar amount is going to be because of the enrollment. The rolling enrollment that's calculated every 4 years is what's going to drive the portion of the debt that Marshfield will be responsible for. But the purpose of the debt exclusion, just like Marshfield High School, is to add it to the taxes as opposed to having it come from the general budget that's approved through the annual town meeting process.
Okay. So I understand that on January 25th, there were 9 communities involved in moving forward, and it was an overwhelmingly supported ballot by all 9 towns. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that Rockland actually put this on their ballot. So Rockland, the ballot was also, and Rockland was a very interesting town if you were watching this, to try to figure out how this was going to play out. But I understand the ballot for this has also, was received very well in the town of Rockland. So we are taking in turn adding it to our ballot on May 3rd. That's kind of the gist. Can you help me with this?
That is correct. So this is the put on notice, we own the debt.
Yep.
As folks know, they voted for the program, they voted for Marshfield to be a member, South Shore Regional Technical Vocational process that gets us, I don't want to say an unlimited number, but, more than 5 or 6 seats there. Right now, we have like 30 kids and, potential for more to go there each of the 4 years. And as the treasurer mentioned, this is the language that sets up that the town is required to make the payments. So we can't put the dollar amount in there because we don't know what the actual total dollar cost will be until the project's completed, because a project this size also has contingency fees, and you can go, under state law, you can go 25%, up to 25% over. So, that's why there's not, most people, when we do a debt exclusion, they'll look back what we did in 2019, November 2019, when we did our own, funding through a debt exclusion for the police, for the senior center, and for the DPW, and for seawalls. But this, we don't know what the end price is. That's why there isn't a price here.
Okay, so the actual language itself is dictated by the state? Is that how, or is this?
No, it is by the state.
It is by the state.
Yep.
It's dictated by the state, so it's not something that you can finagle and add changes to. This is it. And this would be the same language that was received in the ballots by the folks that live in the town of Rockland,
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
And all the other towns that are gonna have to, so if we'll do it, then there'll be 7 other communities will have to do it also, unless they magically have the money to cover their cost.
Okay, I think I know what happens. if this fails, but can you just explain to me what the result of a failed
Well,
vote on a debt exclusion?
If it fails, we own the cost, whether we do the debt. The thing about the debt exclusion, it's outside debt. If we have to
Right.
do inside debt, that would be problematic. We'd have to make cuts to budgets to pay for it.
So when you say cuts to budget, you're referring to general government, school, the
Correct.
gamut of
They would
what
have to be,
we
you know,
worry
This
about.
would be fairly expensive.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think any department would be unscathed. We're talking the construction costs tentatively projected at 26 million. If we did level principal, we're looking at approximately 1.8 million in just debt service alone for the building of the new school. Now, that compounded with approximately 120 to 135 students in attendance, that's also going to be at a cost of roughly 19,000 per student just to send them to the regional school. We're looking at over $4.5 million all in every year. If we don't do the debt exclusion, that 1.8 is going to come from somewhere.
Okay,
And then there's the additional cost of actual tuition that we're paying South Shore Regional for their operating costs.
right. So when we're trying to plan for the future, there's still some unknowns, as you know, with any project going forward. And all of these towns understood that going forward
Yes.
to accept this. All right. Well, will we be receiving some sort of an explanation other than this for our town meeting on what debt exclusion? Or you don't know the numbers, so you can't build a forecast. Is that correct?
We can get some preliminary numbers, but the motion itself wouldn't have the numbers.
Yeah, I
because
understand
the
that. I'm
total-
just thinking,
But I'm sure Mr. Hickey has something put together that he
Yeah.
gave to Rockland to use.
okay,
And typically from what we've talked about is it's roughly at a cost of about 19 cents to 24 cents per 1,000 of value. That's really what it's going to come down as far as cost is concerned. But again, that cost is predicated on that rolling average of enrollment. So every 4 years, there is going to be a look back based on the average number of students
Yeah.
enrolled. That is going to recalculate what the expense is going to be, our share of the debt.
right. And he explained that he didn't know, he didn't have a crystal ball at this
Correct.
point, but they're working on trying to get that, because obviously all of us need to know that,
Exactly.
and our residents. Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
Yes, Sean or Michael, could we put on the town website maybe a tool or resource where people can see what this would cost per median household, or maybe they could plug in their household value?
Yes, the treasurer, we already talked about, the
Yep.
treasurer's
Yep.
putting a calculator together for people to plug in their value.
Awesome, perfect. And then, it's been mentioned already, but it passed with 75% of the vote in Marshfield, so we own it now, and this is what the majority of folks who cast their ballot wanted, so this is the best avenue forward.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
I think it's utterly insane for anybody to vote yes on this ballot if it's proposed, especially when there's no amount on it. I am not, aside from that factor, I am not for it, just due to the fact that I believe there were procedural violations made prior to the January vote. And in regards to penalties, if we don't pass this, which I think you're both correct in my opinion, the member towns, and this is Chapter 71, Section 16, letter D.
Can I see that, just for a second?
Can I read it first?
No, or just repeat what you just
Yes,
said?
I was going to do.
Thank you.
The member towns of such vocational regional school district which have voted disapproval of the new indebtedness shall have the right to retain their membership in the school district as provided in the district agreement, except that they shall not be allowed any added enrollment that might result solely from the expansion of facilities that occurs on account of said new indebtedness. So you would like to read that?
I just want, I can find it, I'm just looking for that. You referenced it as a
right.
legal. Did you say this is chapter?
Go to
Pursuant
the
to-
page underneath, it'll tell you.
Okay, thank you, that's what I was looking for. I recall looking at this prior, but, to Chapter 71, Section 16. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yeah, I think I couldn't sum it up any better than that.
Okay, all right. So this motion is for the board. The board moves to approve and authorize the following debt exclusion language for the South Shore Regional Vocational Technical High School to appear on the town election ballot for May 3rd, 2025. Shall the town of Marshfield be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2.5, so-called, the amounts required to pay the town of Marshfield's apportioned share of the cost for bonds issued by the South Shore Regional Vocational Technical School District, per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, K, in order to pay costs of designing, constructing, originally equipping, and furnishing a new district high school and related athletic facilities, including the payment of all other costs incidental and related thereto. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Nay.
Motion passes 2-1.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to number 7. Discussion and vote to sign letter to legislature urging legislation, it's getting late, to be passed that would preserve and codify the current remote meeting options at the local level. So, we all know that going through the last several years that we have been looking at all Zoom meetings, all hybrid, all sorts of different types of meetings here with our committees. And this is a letter so that we can reach out and have this continue. So this, should I read the letter, Michael?
Sure.
Okay. So the Honorable, it's probably Senator O'Connor, Representative Sweezy, and Representative Kearney at the State House, Boston, Mass. 02133. Dear legislators, I am reaching out regarding the current public meeting provisions first created during the pandemic, which are set to expire on March 31st, 2025. On behalf of Marshfield, I strongly urge you to pass legislation that would preserve and codify the current remote meeting options at the local level. This includes the recently filed Municipal Empowerment Act by Governor Healy, as well as HD 2863 and SD 1850, filed by Rep. Grigori and Senator Oliveira. As you know, the COVID-era flexibilities for holding public meetings in a remote or hybrid format in compliance with the state's open meeting law have been hugely successful. The current provisions allow cities and towns flexibility to determine which type of meeting works best given member availability, internet capabilities, and other technology infrastructure, space and staffing levels. We perhaps will add some information in here. Is that correct, Michael?
We have a letter already done, yeah.
Okay.
The letter.
Despite good intentions, a hybrid mandate would not be practical or feasible. We strongly recommend a simple codification of the current provisions, giving municipalities the flexibility they need to help their nighttime governments run smoothly, while maintaining and expanding public engagement. We urge you to co-sponsor HD 2863 and SD 1850 and support action to make these successful pandemic-era provisions permanent prior to March 31st. Thank you very much for your consideration. The Select Board, Town of Marshfield. Do we have the letter ready?
Yep,
Okay. And is that what it's?
I drafted it already, so
Thank you.
we're ready for
Yes,
the board.
please. Appreciate it. All right, so I guessed, and I guessed correctly on the format for this,
You
so
did, yes.
I appreciate that. Okay, you can hand that back to her. Thanks.
I saw it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I was talking to Eric, sorry.
It's like, what's going on? All right, so are there any comments that you'd like to add to this?
Sure, you know.
I know I used this as savings grace to keep the ZBA going through during COVID, so.
Oh, totally,
It
yeah.
wasn't great, but we did it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of the new standard or the new baseline that we've all been doing for several years now, and I think it makes it easier for more people to tune in and follow what's going on or participate when there's a public hearing portion for a
Yeah.
meeting.
Yep. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I am, I'm not against the Zoom meetings, but to not make it a hybrid at all levels, I think is a massive mistake. To allow it just to be all remote. And, the one thing that really, in regards to the letter here, they need help with their nighttime governments. I mean, I think my concern would be is that it would allow department entities to hold meetings potentially at hours that the public is generally not awake and get things done under the at odd hours of the night, much like what a legislature does from time to time in regards to how they operate. I think it would be a huge mistake, Madam Chair, to send this letter in and not mandate at least the hybrid end of it. I think we are looking, for them to say, despite good intentions, a hybrid mandate would not be practical or feasible, I think should sound the alarm right there in itself, and I think we should absolutely mandate that a hybrid model be put in where the board needs to show up at their locations as well as, but allow the general public to participate from wherever the location they are. That would be my opinion to it.
Okay. I feel really strongly about the importance of having people be able to Zoom in, show up, and keep our volunteer base. It is so hard to find volunteers to work in this town. So not only is that really critically important and allowing some flexibility to folks, we know that as we operate our select board meetings, there are options that we need to have available to us so that we can have a quorum to get the job done. So in light of that, I think if we are in charge of our own boards can dictate what they want to do and how they're going to move forward, then that's really what this is about. That's how I feel about it. So I'm comfortable going to a vote on this. Anything you'd like to add? Okay. Because you're shaking your head, so I'm like, I guess you agree with me. Okay. So the board moves to approve and sign the letter to the legislature urging the legislation to be passed that would preserve and codify the current remote meeting options at the local level. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Nay.
Motion passes 2-1.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to number 9, which is discussion and vote on request for permission to accept 5 donations on behalf of Veteran Services. This is the best part of our meetings. Well, maybe it's fast, but I love the donations. So here we have several. So Veteran Services is seeking permission to accept the following donations: $50 from Ted and Eleanor Kozlowski in memory of Ed Sullivan, $50 from Sandra Sullivan in memory of Ed Sullivan, $100 from Daniel Webster Post 8345 in memory of Ed Sullivan, $100 from Maria Russo in memory of Ed Sullivan, $100 from Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Hanlon. Okay, any questions or comments?
Oh, it's just nice to see the donations that continue to pour in to honor Ed's memory.
Yes, exactly. Any questions or comments?
Nope, just on. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. So the board moves to approve on behalf of the Veteran Services the following 5 donations: $50 from Ted and Eleanor Kozlowski in memory of Ed Sullivan, $50 from Sandra Sullivan in memory of Ed Sullivan, $100 from the Daniel Webster Post 8345 in memory of Ed Sullivan, $100 from Maria Russo in memory of Ed Sullivan, and $100 from Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Hanlon. The donations will be used to provide assistance for health and welfare, morale, and/or financial need of our veterans and their dependents. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve the generous donations.
Thank you. So we have our minutes for this evening. Okay. And this is a vote to accept minutes, and we have in front of us January 16th, 2025, January 21st, 2025, February 10th, 2025, February 20th, 2025, and February 24th, 2025. So I had a couple little Scribner errors. Second. So 2020, February 20th, I'm good. Good. January 21st, 2025. The second page, there's just a Scribner error. And it is the fourth paragraph, line 2. Last word, should be green initiative. I'll just, it's a Scribner error. So other than that, it's fine. February 24th, good. February 10th, I'm good. Executive session minutes, January 21st, I'm okay. And Thursday, January 16th, I'm okay with, so it's good. All right, so I'd like to make this motion to approve these minutes, January 16th, 2025, January 21st, 2025, February 10th, 2025, February 20th, 2025, and February 24th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
I do have a request for amendment.
Which meeting?
February 24th? Acceptance of donation of plaques.
Just a second. Page?
No, there's no page number on it. It's like the third, I think
No,
it's
at
the
the
last
top, it
page.
has pages at the top. See? It's all in bold, select board meeting, page 3 of
No,
6.
It's the last page, almost the last page, second to last page, I guess you can look
Okay,
at it.
go ahead.
Well, we had the discussion, and when we took a vote on it, I believe you put an amendment into it in regards to the recognizing, reimbursing Mike for.
We talked about an amendment. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
We talked about an amendment, but I didn't actually put it in the vote.
And just to be clear, if I may, since it deals with me, Madam Chair, it's not a reimbursement. I donated those. It's not a reimbursement.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, not right, Mike.
Yep.
I apologize.
Yeah, you
Not reimbursing, but there was there wasn't a receipt in there of the donation.
Yeah, you questioned whether or not he had paid, and you
Well,
questioned it, and then I asked about it, and he affirmed that he had, in fact, and our administrator also affirmed that she had it, and I took,
Right, but
That's
we
my
need the
recollection of it.
documents for the records.
well, we didn't actually, when we made the motion, that wasn't part of the motion.
I thought it was, but if it wasn't, though.
I don't believe it was. I don't believe it was. But in any event, let me just reread this. But I want to be clear that Mr. Maresco has been nice enough to
I don't disagree,
offer
I'm just
this,
saying,
okay?
just something.
We don't usually.
Paperwork for the record.
But we don't usually require any donations to supply this board
Well, like,
with the
well, the
with the
paperwork-
documentation of their credit cards or their
Paperwork that was
checks.
submitted to us had the town of Marshfield as the billing entity.
Okay.
So the whole thing is that was the thing, was the town was getting billed for it. So the thing is, Mike was making a donation. I think if I remember correctly, that Kate said you put it on your credit card, right?
Right, I paid
So
the
there should
bill.
be a receipt to be able to apply to that document,
Okay.
correct?
She'll get, I'm not giving out my credit card numbers, but.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, you can always edit.
Kate will
edit.
get you, Kate will
Yeah.
get you a
So-
copy of the bill mark paid.
Just something to attach to the record, that's all I'm looking for, absolutely.
Okay, so you can do that in the office?
I thought Kate already sent it to you.
Yes. All right, so we will move forward on these minutes, and you're okay with that? Okay. So let's try this again. So that was in reference to February 24th, 2025 minutes, but I would like to request these 5 minutes, this January 16th, January 21st, February 10th, February 20th, and February 24th minutes be accepted. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly, motion been made and roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye?
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
A unanimous vote to accept the minutes.
Thank you. And in light of there being no further business at hand, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Ms. Fidler?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to adjourn Select Board meeting for March 10th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
You got it all laid out here?